It's not showing up yet. There it is. Okay. Yeah. I'll be back in 1 second.
Good morning, guys. Welcome in. Welcome. How is everybody doing? Good morning, Smooth. Good morning, Money Mike. Money Mike's in the chat too. We also have Money Mike here on the horn. We got 2 Money Mikes today.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy FOMC day.
Welcome in. Brian, you're already there. That's crazy, man. I love it though. I love it. It's it is a crazy market. It is an absolutely crazy market. Jacqueline, Brian, welcome in. Salsa, how you doing? Welcome in, everybody. Hopefully everyone is ready to dive right into it. We have a lot to go over this morning on this incredible Wednesday, October 29th, 2 days left to the end of October, and we have FOMC today's session, so it is an incredibly important session. Still here, 999, let's get horned up. I love it. Welcome in, man. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. You guys know Friday. Tell everyone to be here on Friday. Tell everybody to be here on Friday. You guys know what's happening on Friday. You guys know what is happening on Friday.
What's happening Friday?
We're giving away $1,000, Mike.
Uh-oh. There you go. To one person?
No, I think we're gonna do it to 10 people. $100 to 10 people.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. All right. So we got Mike on the horn with us this morning. We have a lot going on in the pre-market. We have new all-time highs on the market, and the market is hot. Okay. So we had some movements yesterday on the chip side. Okay. And this morning we have some more movements on Nvidia, on AMD, on overall chips, and that seems to be the sector that is the one everyone's watching, right? We have some major events looming in today's session, right? We have some big things happening today, and this is going to be an incredibly important session because it is an FOMC session, okay? So we are going to dive right into it. Mike and I are going to go over everything we're watching today's session, and then we'll try to go over some names that you guys are watching as well. So we got Big Head Brett and Mega Mind Mike. I love that. That's awesome. I love that. All right, so let's dive right into it quickly, guys. I want to talk about this already. You guys know we've been kind of saying this all week, so I don't want to be a broken record here. But today's session, Wednesday, the 29th of October, is the most important session of the week. The reason why is because we have the FOMC announcement today here at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have his announcement, which is obviously should be the rate cut. Okay, we have a 99% chance of rate cut today, which I think everyone is sort of aware of. But then we have at 2:30 the press conference, which is going to be a big event today's session, right? Okay, now because of this session, I think you should expect some wonkiness in price action. You saw it a little bit yesterday. Okay, you got a little bit of that wonky price action on SPY yesterday. So today's session, I don't think is going to be anything different. I think you must be cognizant that there is going to be that big data looming, and for that reason, how much of a move are we going to get prior to that event? We don't know yet, okay? Okay, so just be aware of that. Now, tomorrow in the pre-market, you have GDP, your jobs claims. We'll go over that as we get there. But right now, the only thing that matters is today, 2 p.m. That's the biggest thing, right? Don't forget, okay? Don't be 1:59 p.m. in the afternoon. You're long Nvidia call options that expire on Friday with a $12,000 position, and the next thing you know, you get slapped in the face with a textbook, or you get blessed, okay? But either way, you just don't want to be in that scenario where it's 50-50, okay? Because again, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Nobody knows what is going to happen at 2 p.m. Not even Jerome Powell knows, because even for himself, the market doesn't react the same way it reacts every time, okay? The market will do things in very emotional ways, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen until it happens, or until it begins happening, right? So today's session on the earnings docket, we had some big things happening here. We had VZ in the pre-market, Boeing in the pre-market, we had CVS in the pre-market, FI in the pre-market, and in the after hours today, we had Meta, Microsoft, Google, Chipotle, Carvana, and Starbucks. Sprouts is also reporting. Have you guys ever been to a Sprouts? I have, and it feels like you get robbed afterwards. It feels like you just get like literally gun to the forehead, and they take everything in your pocket. That's how expensive Sprouts is. It's really expensive. So I imagine they probably rip on earnings. Because they better be making money, right? So Starbucks in the after hours today. Transparently, I have a position in Starbucks. I don't know how they're going to do. But I am still half sized in my Starbucks position, so I'm not too worried as to what happens. If they do gap down, I'm looking to add more. If they gap up, then I'll manage my position. Okay, so just be aware of Starbucks in the after hours today. If you are long Starbucks in the pre-market webinar from 2 weeks ago, we are green right now, 8% on the equity. So just be aware of that going into our after hours today here, Wednesday, right? Thursday pre-market, Eli Lilly, Merck, after hours, Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit. Okay, so let's dive into this, Mike. I actually want to let you start off this chart here in SPY. What are you thinking today? What's your levels?
Yes, but I mean, kind of the same level as yesterday, guys. 686. We were taking shorts off of that. It was a very slow, grindy short, but it wound up working for $1. But today, if we get the selling and we get back on the 686, we hopefully can get some, higher selling pressure back into that 683, which is very possible. But that's the same level that I was watching yesterday is the same level I'm watching today, 686.
Yeah. No, I agree with this. So yesterday's session, it was all about that 686, right? Now, there were two things that we spoke about yesterday. The first thing is we spoke a little bit about this pre-market level here at 686, but the big colossal level is still that 6900 ES level, which we now know to be is 648.80. Okay, so yesterday's session, I actually took a short with you, Mike. We think we took the same short yesterday. We shorted off that 686 and got some downside into our 684s, right? But the key thing to note is, I already said this, right? If you are shorting in this uptrending market, okay, the question really is this. All we do is get the downside back into the next demand, and we seem to rip off demand every time, right? So that's what's been happening recently. And eventually, what's going to happen, it's not going to hold anymore. Eventually, there's going to be a sky is falling scenario where the market does break down lower. We actually see consistent, substantial downside. But until then, if you are shorting back into previous demands and you are walking away. I think that was what we did yesterday. Was we knew basically, even though the market was chopping in supply in the 5-minute time frame, that the 1 hour time frames were still suggesting downside, and it did give you downside. It gave you downside back into the next demand zone below, but even that demand zone below held, right? And so yesterday's session was a good short, but again, only as far back to the next demand zone, in which case we rallied off that demand zone. Now today's session here on SPY, what is it all about this morning, right? So yesterday was all about 686.20 and 685, which is your ES 6900. Today's session, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's 686 as your big demand zone below. If we lose that, then we see downside back into 6900. But the big level, the colossal level going to FOMC, the major level that I think we should all be aware of is 6900 ES, which is yesterday's lows, which is the highs of Monday's session. That's what it is, right? If we can break this after FOMC today, we see a little bit of a downside move under FOMC. I think we begin to fill some gaps down below. We'll fill the gap, we'll fill the move into 682, and then under 682, there's a gap into 678. And again, this is a sky is falling scenario, right? And I'm fully aware this is a sky is falling scenario, but eventually this is going to happen, right? Eventually it will happen at some point, okay? So just be aware that not every time demand is going to hold up, but as of right now, demand is still holding up. Okay, so if you're looking for shorts, the best short's going to be under 6,900. That's your free flowing move into 682. Under 682 for more downside, back in 678. If you're a bull today, your first response is, hey, let's look for a pullback long here to 686. If you see us hold up there, that's your top watch for longs. So long to 686, short the 648, 684.70. Okay, that's what I'm doing today's session. Really, this and this are my top watches today on SPY. Okay, on the ES chart, I think just to kind of like recap what Mike was saying too. Are you still watching the 6,900? I assume.
Yeah. I mean, that's just yesterday's low.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So again, if you're short anywhere in the market, let's just say you get like a downside break under pre-market low, if you trade the orb under pre-market low, like you look for a little downside move under that 15-minute candle open, right? Well, only expect it to go down into 6,900 because again, this is still a major hold spot in the market. Okay, so your big zone today is 6,900 ES level, right? If you shorted into 6,900 yesterday on the ES chart, you got slapped, right? Look at that chart here, where you can see almost perfectly the lows of yesterday's session came out to be 69.03, so almost 3 points away from that level, right? And again, that's that I shouldn't say the Monday's highs because it isn't really the Monday's highs, but it is that major level below, right? So keep that on the major watch today during FOMC, is because oftentimes before we go to FOMC, what happens all the time is we have all these levels charted, right? And we have to understand FOMC is a major event, okay? And when we go into this event, you want to be only trading with the colossal levels. Because if I were to come in today's session, have levels like this, right? I wouldn't know exactly what to do here. Now, when FOMC comes in and we see the data, right, and the market reacts to the data, I know exactly what to do. I know if I see a big fat candle today during FOMC like this, I know this is not a candle I want to short until it breaks under 6,900, right? Because then this here is very different from this. Two completely different charts. Because again, we know how important that demand is down below here at 6,900 ES. Okay, so just be aware of that, guys. That's all I have to hear on the ES chart. Gaps to fill below, plenty of them down below. And at some point, you guys have to understand this. At some point, the market does pull back. It's not a bearish pullback. In the short term, we may buy puts on it. We maybe day trade this and scalp set for puts. But in the long term, it's not bearish, right? Let's just kind of like understand that. We're looking for this to pull back because if we do pull back, you have the previous all-time highs for longs. And that's going to give you some incredible long opportunities back in these key demand zones. Mike, I'm actually going to let you go over Qs entirely because I don't really have anything like new here on Qs. What do you have here?
Okay. Yeah, guys, 632.50 is NASDAQ, so NDX, 26,000, all right? That's my main watch today, even more so than SPY because the level is closer.
Okay.
So if Qs lose 632.50, that's NASDAQ 26,000. We should get a nice flush back into 630.
Okay, interesting. And you said something on the NQ there. What was your NQ level?
Not NQ, it's NDX 26,000.
NDX. Okay, so you're saying NDX 26,000. Okay, so I see exactly what he's saying here. So he's watching this NDX sub 26,000, which equates to the QQQ 634.50. And under 634.50, where's your next demand zone?
That is, no, it's 632.50.
Oh, 632.50. Okay, I see that.
632.50 is NASDAQ 26,000. If we lose that, we should go back to at least the open range high, 631. So it's $1.50 move. Okay. And if we lose that, 629.
Okay. All right, so you got
629, I think, is NQ 26. Yeah, 629 is NQ 26,000.
Yes, and that also equates to your previous or Tuesday's lows here, right? Previous day low here on that 629 change. Okay, so that makes sense. But again, you guys heard it here, right? You guys heard his level, so you know what he's talking about. Right? So he's watching for the sub 26,000 NDX. If that breaks here, which is the QQQ 632.50, there is downside back into the 630s here, back into the PDL, right? And again, like this is the key thing to know is prior to FOMC, right? If you see us do this today on a downside move, it's a shorter, right? It's a short, but like he's saying, it's only as far back as here. Because at that moment, you're probably going to be full selling. Because this is an area where we can either do this or we can do this. And we just don't know what's going to happen, right? It's 50-50 as to what we're going to do here. And I'm probably leaning more towards this because the market is still just strong, right? But again, those are some good levels here on the QQQ chart and also NDX. What about NQ? You watching anything on NQ?
I mean, just that 26,000.
Just 26,000.
That's, yeah, it's 629 QQQ.
620 QQQ. Okay. All right, guys. Let's move on, guys. We're gonna go over some other charts now. 1,000 people here pre-market. Let's jump into the first ticker of today's stream. Let's go over. Actually, you know what? What's your first ticker? What's your main watch today?
Well, really QQQ.
QQQ.
But let's go. Let's just run it through.
Run through. Okay. Let's do Nvidia first. So Nvidia. Nvidia is parabolically moving upside, all in the pre-market this morning and in the after hours last night. You guys saw Nvidia is just announcing all these partnerships. It's kind of like it's pretty crazy to see it. There's partnerships everywhere. Okay, there was a partnership with Uber this morning. There are partnerships with almost every single big tech name. Nvidia is kind of getting in the ring with. So what can we watch now, Nvidia? Well, I think the first thing to understand is anytime you see a parabolic move like this, we all look at it and we all wish we would have longed it before, right? But at this moment, there is no longable opportunity here, right? Just like anything, this is still a bull break, right? But the only long you can watch now is going to be back at the previous all-time highs. So if you're looking for anything today in Nvidia, it's unfortunate because reality is it's got to be back at 195, right? That's where it is. That's where your next demand is here on Nvidia, and at some point this will test. And at some point we'll test 195 and possibly even test 190, right? These are your two high volume demand areas, right? If you run a fixed range volume profile from your Tuesday the 30th to where we are right now, notice something. Look at this chart. This will tell you everything you need to know about what's going on here in Nvidia. Most of these moves are happening on low volume in the after hours and in the pre-market session, right? Now, the high node areas, the area where we were trading the most volume, is back at our demand zone. And that tells you something. Smart money is trading here. Smart money is trading here. Smart money already long this move over there, and right now they're probably profit taking. Okay, that's just simply what's happening here. If you want to long this, you look for the move back down to demand. 195, 190, those are your areas to watch out for. And Mike, you're probably kind of in the same idea here, I assume, right?
Yeah, 195, 196 is where I would look for intraday long.
Okay.
And the idea behind Nvidia, at least what I'm thinking, today we're going to open at a 5 trillion market cap, maybe even a little bit above. I think we liquidate that. We liquidate 200 long buyers, and we have a medium-term top around 210, 215. Now that's the idea. We'll see what happens, but there's big gamma exposure at 210, so it's likely that we break above, and then market makers will likely try to push the stock back under 200 by next week. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the key thing to note too is just because you think, okay, like we know at some point Nvidia is going to go down, right? Nvidia will sell off at some point, and that's where every chart does this. Every single chart that I've ever traded at some point in time does pull back, and it may not be today, guys. Someone said Nvidia is not falling anytime soon, right? Maybe Zico, you're right? Maybe Nvidia doesn't. Maybe Nvidia consolidates for a while. Maybe it does this for a long time and then gives you the sell-off. But eventually, it will do that because every time we have low volume pushes, it is always followed with a pullback back to demand, and that is where you want to be getting those entries, right? You want to be. Remember we said about Nvidia? We talked about Nvidia upside at 184, right? Remember we said Nvidia last week? We talked about Nvidia above 184 is the upside move into the 190s. Above 190s is the upside move into 195. Now, granted, this was a trade that we didn't take. I didn't take that break here, but we did take this break over here 184. We actually took this break last week above the 190s, above the 184s into last week, and that's where you want to be building your positions. Right now, when you extend higher like this, it's got to be back in the pullbacks. And even if it doesn't happen, even if you sit here all week waiting for a pullback to your demand zone, well, it's just this. Do this. Watch. Just do yourself a huge favor. Go press the plus icon or whatever here on the top right and set ad alert. And that's all you do. So you don't have to stress this, right? You don't have to wait for it. You just simply, hey, when you get the alert, okay, it's back at the 195s, it's back at the 190s, then you can go look for longs again, right? But as of right now, it's a firework. Everyone's watching the video as a firework, and that's the perfect reason to not watch Nvidia. You let it play out, and you wait for your demand zones below, okay? Let's move to AMD. Same idea, AMD. What did we do yesterday in AMD? If you guys recall, we actually traded this off the... I was really happy with this trade because we caught the beautiful momentum scalp on this and we walked away fast. As soon as the chart turns into a firework, right? You just get out of that firework because you typically get these crazy fades, and now obviously the pre-market we're gapping up. But we actually longed this chart yesterday. If you guys recall from the pre-market, what did we say here in AMD? We said long AMD above 260. That's all we did yesterday was we longed the pullback into 260 with a stop under PMH here at 259. It tapped the stop loss almost perfectly, literally perfectly, almost stopped me out yesterday too, right? It literally almost perfectly stopped me out yesterday, but then whipped right off my level, right off the 259 level, ripped higher and pushed into 265 into close. And that was your day here in AMD. Now, AMD's chart this morning, kind of similar to Nvidia, right? Look at the chart. It's beautiful. It looks super strong, but you have to understand one thing, right? You have to understand this chart will probably pull back at some point, okay? And where's it going to pull back to? Well, it's got to pull back to one of your demand zones below. All right, the first level is 253, right? That's your first demand here. Your second level is actually here at the 243s. And Mike, I think you're watching 243 here, right?
243, yeah, for sure.
243, right? 243.
That's going to be so nice when it happens.
Exactly, and it'll be so nice when it happens. Like this is your main incredible watch for longs. 243. Today's session though, if you're looking for some scalpable trades, you could also watch the 253s. 253 for a big demand zone. 253 is your major long spot. What about any other chip names you're watching, Mike?
No, but Amazon's ripping. What's going on with Amazon? Some news?
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's crazy actually. Yeah, Amazon's one that I wish I had a position on right now. But I know many of you guys are in Amazon. I know many of you. This is the thing is I know many of you guys are in this one because we've been talking about this for a while. But Amazon 228 is your big spot here on Amazon. We had some bullish news yesterday about the layoffs. I don't want to say you guys know what I mean by that. Bullish news in terms of the stock price, right? I know many of you guys probably have family that works at Amazon and stuff like that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the idea that in the short term, layoffs are typically good for companies, and that's why you're seeing a little bit of upside here on Amazon. I do think we have something else happening here. Yeah, Amazon completes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think there's news.
Yeah, there has to be news here.
Oh, AI supercomputer and expands Anthropic deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some chip news here. Everything is chip news now. I mean, this is that's the cloud Anthropic deal, right? So it's obviously pretty important. Everything chip news. You can see now we're moving into the highs here. Be careful of these highs over here, right? Here's the thing though. I think this is a chart that actually will break these highs. I know it's got kind of forward thinking here, and you guys don't. I shouldn't really be forward thinking too much, but I do think that this chart, Amazon, I think will break the 240s. So if you are longing this chart, then obviously, right, have a long here. That's fine. But then look for profit in the highs here. But don't full sell it because I do think it will. I do think it will clear out the highs. I think Amazon will see some rotations in November, December, and it's very likely this pushes new all-time highs before the year end. Okay. Again, that is very forward thinking, and that is probably a little speculative. It's too speculative for right now. But that's just my thought process. What if this happens? Well, then I'm wrong, right? But I do think you at least get the highs here at 238. Okay, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
What are you watching today?
We just can't. I mean, a lot of these names we can't trade because Amazon has earnings tomorrow, Google has earnings today, Meta, Microsoft, they all have earnings. So we can't really trade them intraday. We have to focus on, maybe the chip names or SPY and QQQ. That's it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you know what? Like that's also true too. Is like as much as I'd want to trade this in the short term here off 228, off this break and retest here 228, we can't really do that because of the big E tomorrow, right? Big E tomorrow. Be careful of that. I actually just realized that too. I don't know what I was thinking there for a second. I was looking at this chart like, damn, I want to open an equity position in this one, but just can't do that, right? Big earnings tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be aware of that. Okay. What about Apple?
Apple, yeah, I mean, Apple is just so overextended. I don't want to go long. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I would long, if we get back down to that 260 area. I like that demand.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I don't want to take a breakout. I don't want to take a 270 breakout at this point. It's just.
It's the big E tomorrow too. You have the big E tomorrow in the after hours, right? So again, as much as you want to go long in these names, it's true, right? We do have earnings tomorrow, and I think that's the major thing to watch this week is look at Thursday session. Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit, right? All the big ones reporting. Even after hours today, Meta, Microsoft, Google, right? So it's going to be an important few sessions today, today, and then also on our Thursday session. So I think as much as you want a long Apple's chart, and I think you do, like look at this 265, right? We spoke about this yesterday, right? We spoke about that 265 on Monday and into Tuesday, right? Today's session, if you're looking for longs, it still is 265, right? This is still your pullback long spot. Bam, bam. That's your demand zone today for a long entry. That's your demand zone number 1 for your first bounce. Your second bounce is here at the 260s, right? The orange level. So you have demand zone 1 and demand zone 2. They're both long. They're both longs, right? If we pull back to demand zone 1, 265, it's a long, okay? If you pull back to your 260s, it's also a long. But the question is, how much are you going to get prior to earnings tomorrow? So let's be careful. Let's be cautious. I think we should all be aware of that. If you've had a good week, Monday, Tuesday, and now into Wednesday, you should be kind of getting your foot off the gas pedal, right? Look at yesterday's session. We nailed the SPY trade. We nailed the AMD trade upside. Today's session, I think you should sort of be aware that you have a lot of things happening here in the after hours today, okay? Especially with the FOMC 2 p.m. Let's move on. Let's go over a few more. What else?
Yeah, we might have to go over tickers that don't have earnings.
Yeah, it's everything. I feel like everything I go over has earnings. Meta has earnings, right? Meta.
Maybe we could do like Palantir. I think Palantir, if it breaks at 192, I think Palantir pushes to 200.
Yeah.
It has the short momentum. If it can squeeze over 192, I actually like this long.
Yeah.
Especially after the announcement with the Nvidia partnership, it might get a little earnings run into 200.
Okay. Yeah. 188 holding. What's your bull bear pivot here?
188 is my level, but 192 is the breakout level.
192. So he's watching. So Mike's watching the 192 for breakout, right? 192 above for breakout. That's your key thing today. 192 breakout trade. I like that. That's interesting. Definitely a spicy FOMC trade, but it's a good one, right? It absolutely is a good one. That could be a top watch today. What about Robinhood? HOOD. Robinhood was all about that 140 break. Today's session on Robinhood. We also have earnings. Every name I go over has earnings. It's crazy. But this is actually no. This is fine. This is November. This is November earnings. We're okay on this one. But Robinhood ultimately, I think, does go into the 153s. So if you are looking for anything here in Robinhood, look for that little bull flag play. Right. Look for this little bull flag play above the highs. If you can now build over that previous, see this big 4-hour candle rejection. This 148 rejection here. That big 4-hour candle rejection. If we can invert that candle above 148, you could look for the bull flag play here, right? So watching either the bull flag play above the 148s for longs, or I'm watching the 140 pullback long, right? Pullback long number 1, or your demand, or your break and retest above the highs for a trade here number 2. And again, this could be a trade today where it's keep this on the trade, keep this on the back burner, right? This is one to watch going into our Wednesday morning. Okay, let's go over a few more. What about GLD? Actually, Mike, you're the gold specialist here.
I mean, I top ticked gold, but I said we need a little bit larger of a pullback. 360, maybe we bounce. Yeah, it's already at 370 pre-market. I don't know though. The deep demand retest would be 320. 320, you get to 320 long gold. Okay.
320 long gold. 320 long gold. Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna happen, but
yeah. No.
Yeah, that's the big demand test.
That is the big demand test. But in the short term for the gold futures traders, what would be your main watch today though? Would you watch anything else? Anything in between?
I think there's a gap fill. Let's see. Yeah, there's a gap fill from 371 to 377.
371 to 377. Okay.
On GLD. I don't know if you have that one pulled up.
I do have GLD pulled up.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's different on GC though. I want to take a look at GC for a second. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. GLD. But I see what you're saying though. 381 as your supply, 371 as your supply, 358 as your demand. And obviously your all-time high supply here at the 403s. Your big daily test though, if it does happen at some point, is back at the 320s. 317, 320 here on GLD. All right. Let's go over Avgo. Right. Let's go over Avgo. Avgo. Did you guys see Avgo yesterday? What did we say about Avgo? We said watch the 370 dip and rip yesterday. Okay. Look at this chart. This is the chart we spoke about yesterday. So again, there were opportunities yesterday on AMD, on Avgo, even Nvidia. Right. Look at this chart here on Broadcom, AVGO 360 dip and rip. Right. Almost a beautiful trade here. Almost perfect off 360s for upside. Today's session here on Avgo. Where are we? We're back at supply here. Okay. This chart has moved from demand back into supply. Be aware of that going into today's session, right? Obviously, this could still rip if it clears supply, but we're in supply here, right? So at this moment, I'm not involved here. I'm just not involved in these highs. If it can clear out the highs and give you a break above the PMH, right, then make this trade here. But right now, we're just trading back into a supply zone on Avgo. Okay. What else do we have? What else are we missing? Tesla. Yes, Tesla.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Tesla.
450. Is that what you're watching too?
450 for a bounce. Yeah, we could do that. Or, I mean, I still think this stock has momentum. If it breaks that 470, which was that previous high from Thursday,
470.
last Thursday,
Yeah.
Last month,
Yeah.
then yeah, 470 should go to 480.
470. It should go to 480. Okay, interesting. For me, I didn't have the 470s, but let's look into that chart for a second. Hold on.
If you look at the daily chart, you'll see it.
I want to go over here to the. If you look at the daily, oh, I see what you're saying. Yep, 465. Let me go back over here as well.
Or the 4 hour. Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, so but if you go to the 1 hour here, right, and you just go back to here. I want to look at this chart for a second just to see what's going on here. So if you look at the 470s, yeah, 470s, smaller level. But if it clears 470, you have upside back in 480, right? But I think the main thing to watch yesterday's session was the 450 break and retest. This was my top two watches yesterday was AMD long and Tesla long off the open, and this was probably even better than AMD long. Okay, if you guys recall, that 450 hold was just insane. The problem with this one is Natty the Wave. Thank you, man, much appreciated. Thank you, Natty the Wave, and also thank you to I think we got one more today as well. Meta, thank you, Meta, and thank you, Natty. You guys are both much appreciated. That was very kind of you. Sorry for missing you before, Meta. I was deep in the charts. But they're asking for FI.
Let's take a look. It got cooked on earnings, down 40%.
FI.
The level, guys, is COVID lows. That's it. The stock has to hold COVID lows, or I don't know where it goes from there.
Let's go at 74. That's it. That's the level right here. It's the March 2020 lows.
If it loses COVID lows, then not sure.
That's all it is. That's all it is today. It has to hold right here. 74 and change. 74. The exact low though.
This would actually be the best risk reward entry, is to get long at 74 and use a 69 stop.
Yeah. I mean, what's going
on? But I haven't read the report yet. I saw that there's some management change. They missed earnings. They're switching from NYSE to NASDAQ. But I haven't read the full report yet, so I don't. I probably won't touch it.
Right. We probably dead cat bounce though. I'm sure we did cat. I'm sure we did cat off this.
Yeah.
I would be. I should not say that. I would lean towards the idea of us dead cat bouncing off the 74, the first tap of it. Right. That's what I would lean towards. I would lean towards us dead cat bouncing off the 74s. I don't know where we go after that because I don't know the earnings. But obviously, right. Your first thing to do here on a chart like this is kind of see where your max risk is, right? Before you add to a position, see where your max risk is. And right now, I think your max risk is probably going to be under sub 70, right? So if you want to have like a sub 70 risk on this, that's what you do. So you probably look for some ads around 74, and you have a $4 risk into sub 70, right? That's all we do here in this chart, okay? Target, TGT.
To the moon.
It tapped 100 yesterday. So this is kind of my area where I expect some resistance here, and we are getting it already. So I'm a little concerned here about this 100 level here in TGT. Right, there's a big sell wall there. It has to clear that level, but we're green. I think Mike, you're green too. Everyone's green now in Target.
I took profit on the leaps, but yeah, I still think it'll reclaim 100.
It has to do that. If it can, we'll be fine, right? But 100 has to reclaim at some point in time. But as of right now. If you are long this chart, just use a 91 stop loss, right? If it holds there, you're in. That's it. That's what I'm doing here on TGT. Let's go over one or two more. SMCI. They're saying SMCI in the chat. You have
What's
anything
going on with SMCI?
It has
spiking pre-market here, up 4%. Did it get some news?
Probably some like partnership with Nvidia. I'm sure something.
AI, like it's some AI news. That's all the news we get these days is AI related.
Yeah. Partnerships with Nvidia, AI, supercomputer, Anthropic cloud, right? Everything's all the same. But what is the actual news here? The news here on this chart is
U.S. federal entity to expand further into the federal market. Delivers AI optimized infrastructure. Oh, AI. Called it.
That's it.
Called it.
That's it. But 55 is your key pivot today, guys, here on this chart. If it can clear 55, it has upside potential, but right now it's back in supply, right? Just like Avgo. Avgo and SMCI are very similar charts. Avgo trading in supply, SMCI trading in supply. It doesn't mean it's going to reject here, but it means that you don't want to be long right now, okay? If it can clear this 55 level, then obviously upside. So look for longs at the 55s. If it does, you have upside back into 56 60, right? These highs here, so nothing. This chart is not. This chart is not. Has so many landmines above us, but you do have this though. I mean, the larger. Here's the issue, right? In the 15-minute time frame, you kind of like find all these levels, right? But in the 1 hour time frame, I can see the idea here, right? I see a beautiful consolidation, little flag here potentially, right? So I understand what you guys are probably watching here. I think this could be, you know what? This is a watch, right? Look for the longs above 55. If it does break 55 with conviction, this probably goes into these highs here, right? I think you have some landmines in between, but your 55 breaks, we should go to 5.9, right? This is your little bull flag play, your breakout, your consolidation, right? And now we're actually breaking out here with a strong catalyst. So if we do clear 55, look for this to trade back into 59. And again, you do have landmines though. The first landmine is 56.60, but I think ultimately this goes back into these bull flag highs here. So this actually is a bit better than what chart, than the Avco chart, right? Because this chart, it has that consolidation, right? So I would look for this high to play out, okay? That is your SMCI chart. You know what, guys? Let's call it here, Mike, unless you have anything else.
No, that's all. Let's call it.
Let's call it. Guys, have a good session today. Look, we had a good session yesterday. We had a good session Monday, good session Tuesday. I think today's session, it's an FOMC day. Look, we'll look for cash flow. That's what I'll do too, right? But we have to be aware that the session is going to be very volatile with FOMC ahead of us. So be careful, trade smart, do the right thing. We'll see you guys all fly trading. Mike?
All right.
See you then.
Good luck, everyone. See you guys on live.
Bye, guys.